And we are live with another episode of BS Busters. And, you know, this is going to be fun, fine, and dandy. We might be joined by Jewel Rider Moonstar later. But before we get further into it, I guess we need to talk about the elephant in the room. Or should I say the Pokemon trainer. So go ahead and introduce yourself, sir.
Hello, this is Piggy Don from Video Game Facts. Today we're going to be discussing video game companies that need a wake-up call, as well as some other news that happened last week.
That is correct. That is correct. So if you're watching, leave a if you want to ask some questions, suggest topics, leave them in the comment section if you're watching this on YouTube. If you're not watching this on YouTube, I implore you to watch it on YouTube because, you know, Google used to have a chat section where if you were watching a Hangout, you could ask questions, but they got rid of that function because Google sucks. So, yeah. But so I guess we should start with the major point, which is companies that need a wake-up call. I'm going to get the company that's kind of been fucking up a little bit, like a very little bit, but I'm just going to get them out the way first so that people won't say, well, you don't call bullshit on anybody. Okay. Nintendo. If you're going to offer cloud saves, it should be for all games, not just certain games. What the fuck, man?
It's to prevent cheating from certain games.
I think that's a lame-ass excuse, but that's just me. Because, I mean, like, it feels a little bullshitty to me. That's all I'm saying. Because, I mean, I think that's kind of a lame excuse. They're like, well, people might cheat in Pokemon. Okay. They're like, okay, fine then. Well, instead of them saving their entire game, let them just save the Pokemon they caught. So it's basically kind of like the Pokemon Bank. Like, it doesn't have to be a one-for-one thing, but if someone's fucking paying for this online service and it's supposed to provide certain services, but it doesn't work on certain shit, what the fuck? That's my thing, you know. But I mean, what do I know? I'm just a guy who runs a business. But I mean, your thoughts? Something you want to bring up? I don't know what
on cloud saving or other companies that need a wake-up call.
No, about Nintendo's online service not offering cloud saving for everything.
I'm honestly not bothered by it since SD cards are a thing.
Well, that's true. That is true. SD cards are a thing, and they are, well, micro SD cards are a thing, and they are getting cheaper. That is true, but you know.
And plus, the Switch does have an ability to transfer all your data onto another Switch if it's close to kicking the bucket.
Yeah, that is true. That's a $300 purchase, but you know, not everyone wants to spend that type of money. But okay, fair enough. So it doesn't bother you. Okay, fair enough. We'll move on to the next topic, which is, I guess we'll go with. Here, I've got the list up here because I'm insane like that sometimes. Microsoft. This is Microsoft's Xbox division. Let me get this straight, okay? You don't need to have a big first-party game this holiday season because of all the third-party shit that's coming to your system.
Anything else?
I mean, there's an article about it, but basically, the big thing is that there's more than enough content this holiday. We didn't need Crackdown 3.
Oh yeah, that.
Jesus Christ. So this is the reason why they don't need Crackdown 3 this holiday season. Basically, their argument is that it's going to be a packed. It's going to be a packed.
Holiday season.
A packed holiday season, which every holiday season is packed, so that's a bullshit excuse. But and people release their games, you know, the holiday season anyway. So they're like, well, we're getting Forza 4 out in October. And then later on, we're launching Crackdown in February, and then after that, we're going to launch Ori and the Will of the Wisps. Now, here's all I'm going to say to this, plus all the other the third-party shit that's coming to the system. Now, here's the thing, though. Here's why I'm saying that this is bullshit. Do you know anyone who bought an Xbox One for Forza?
I don't think so. Not that I know of.
Like, I've never heard of anyone buying a video game system for a racing game. The only video game system that people bought the system for a racing game was the PlayStation 1 with Gran Turismo, because that game at the time was very graphically impressive.
And a Nintendo system for Mario Kart.
Yeah. I'll say for Mario Kart Wii and Mario Kart 8, yeah. Not for Mario Kart 64. No one bought an N64 for Mario Kart 64. People bought Mario Kart 64 for Mario 64.
What about the GameCube? They bought it for Mario Kart Double Dash and Melee.
Nah, not Double Dash. Double Dash is a good game, but I don't think anyone went out of their way. Like, if you had a GameCube, you'd get Double Dash, but I don't think people went to the store just for Double Dash. People bought a GameCube for like, I remember people buying a GameCube for the Rogue Squadron 2 game, because that game looked fucking awesome and it was a launch title. And they bought a GameCube for what was the other game that was like, people bought that system just for that game? There was another game. It wasn't a racing game. It was shit.
You mean Wave Race?
No. It was this is for the GameCube, because you brought up the GameCube, and I guarantee, like, no one bought Mario Kart Double Dash. Yeah, no one bought a GameCube just for Mario Kart Double Dash. Like, if people bought Double Dash, it was because they had the GameCube already and they wanted something to play on it. But no one went. Like, I don't think, like, if people did buy a GameCube for Double Dash, it was such a small number. Like, people who did have a Nintendo system and bought it for Double Dash, because Double Dash wasn't that type of game. Matter of fact, Mario Kart has never been, like, it's only recently during the 7th and 8th gen where Mario Kart became this big like thing, where like people would get a system just for that game. But Double Dash wasn't it. It was Rogue Squadron to an extent, and there was another game for the GameCube that was like a huge, like, people loved that game, and I forgot what it was. It wasn't a racing game. It'll come to me. It wasn't Wind Waker. It was something else. But anyway, yeah. But my point is that, like, no one buys a system for a fucking racing game. The people who have Xboxes might get Forza. It's a maybe thing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, I don't. It's like, and people wonder, but here's the thing, though. But man, they're releasing that new controller that, you know, doesn't get greasy from people's hands. So I don't know. I mean, I don't know. Your thoughts on this?
Well, I was about to say that. Yeah, there. Aside from Rogue Squadron 2, there was also Wave Race, Blue Storm, I believe what it's called.
Yeah, but a lot of people didn't like that game. Like I'm trying to remember what I had on my GameCube when I got it, and it was Rogue Squadron 2, and
I mean, the launch titles at that time were Luigi's Mansion, Pikmin, Rogue Squadron 2, and Wave Race.
yeah, Pikmin. I think Pikmin was a game that people got with that because it was so unique. GameCube really didn't have a good launch. And of course, Melee, yeah. People bought a GameCube just for Melee. That was one of those games. I'm just gonna get this game just for this one game. Melee was one of those games. And I think the big draw for Rogue Squadron at the time was because the GameCube, unlike the PS2, was Dolby 2 compatible. So if you had surround sound, it sounded like you were in a Star Wars movie when you were playing through some of those missions. So I mean, that was like the big allure at the time for the system. So like those two games kind of really like pushed that system. Those were like people went out of their way to get that system. But I don't remember anyone. I've never have I been to someone who's an Xbox fan. Man, I got the system just for Forza. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's like when people ask why can't Microsoft ever have a profitable console, because of shit like this. This is what. So I guess we should move on to the next one, which is oops upside your head, Square Enix.
I came in just in time for the trash.
Yeah. Before we did Nintendo with the online cloud save thing.
And we also did Microsoft with their reasons for not including Crackdown 3.
Yeah, we don't need the one game that people are really excited for our console to come out this holiday season. No. You know, look, Forza, bro. I'm sorry, I can't. I fucking can't. Your thoughts before we move on to number 3, to the third one?
First off, I'm laughing about the Nintendo one that you guys argued about, and second, I could get where you're coming at with the Xbox.
Okay, fair enough. So with Square Enix is kind of a doozy because it's like a double whammy of bullshit.
I'm surprised that we jumped from EA to Square Enix.
Well, EA is further into it because they like EA is such an easy target, you know, like they're always shitty basically. So I didn't want to, you know.
Okay, you let them watch everyone else get their turn.
Well, the thing is just EA is too easy. Like EA is always like EA doesn't need a wake up call. EA's been shit for years, and people have complained about it, and nothing ever changes. So like they don't need a wake up call. They know they're shit, and they're going to continue to be shit as long as people continue to give them money. So they don't need the wake up call. But Square Enix definitely does. So I'll let Pinky go with his complaint first, and then I'll give, and then he'll give his opinions, and then we'll chime in, and then I'll give mine. And
you mean the complaint on Square or Capcom?
Square. You said you had one on Square that you wanted to say. So.
Oh yes, with the whole under shipping their recent titles like Octopath Traveler just because they don't have enough confidence in it selling as much as the multi-million seller franchises like Call of Duty.
Which to expect a JRPG to sell as much as Call of Duty is
BS.
Well, that's stupid. I mean, that's like Square Enix saying, okay, in the 7th gen, one of the highest selling games was Mario Kart Wii. That game sold like over 30 million units. Okay, and that's just one title, 30 million units. Okay, And then you're Square Enix, you're like, well, Final Fantasy 13 needs to sell 30 million units. Final Fantasy doesn't have that type of carrying power. I'm sorry, it doesn't. It doesn't. Not anymore. Maybe in the first, and maybe in the fifth gen with the PlayStation 1, but you know, things have changed. The market has changed. But continue. Sorry.
And of course, trying to make less JRPG titles and more Western titles like Tomb Raider, Hitman, Life is Strange.
Oh, you didn't hear about that new game about it's like called like the
Adventures of Captain something?
No, it's not The Adventures. It's like this. It's got this generic sounding title like The Bouncer, but it's not The Bouncer. It's like The Watcher or The Seeker or some shit.
I think Seeker might be it, but
yeah. It's I'm like, what the fuck is this shit, Square Enix? Just fucking make JRPGs. Damn. But as you were saying,
so that's what I was saying. I mean, instead of making more JRPG titles, both old and new, which are vastly known for, they instead try to either buy out Western IPs like Tomb Raider and Hitman, and try to make their own Western-based games to publish overseas.
Yeah, yes, it's clear that whoever is running Square Enix doesn't know their ass from a hole in the ground. Either that or they're deliberately tanking the company so someone can sell short and make a lot of money. That's the only thing I can think of.
Though then again, my argument could be countered by saying that they could say the same thing with Nintendo, saying how platformers are their bread and butter and they should stick only to platformers and not other genres.
Yeah, but they've had success with other genres. Square Enix, like, here's the thing, okay? If you branch out and you find success in it, I can understand why, and not just like a one-hit thing, like through multiple things, you're still doing well. But literally, Square Enix within the 8th and 7th gen, and even it started in the 6th gen, but definitely in the 7th and 8th gen, these games that they made that were so centered towards the West would bomb, and yet they keep on trying to force a square peg into a round hole.
Yeah.
It's like, it's gonna fit. It's gonna fit. No, it's not. It's gonna fit.
At what cost?
I mean, you know, I'm gonna get a little raw here. It's like a dude saying, "I'm gonna get my wife pregnant," and he's trying to impregnate her via her navel. I don't care how much you try. It's not gonna happen. It's
ladies and gentlemen,
like, it doesn't matter what you do.
That was a weird one.
No matter what you do, it's not going to happen. Like, it's just not, okay? It's not happening. Or someone says, "Hey, I'm gonna breed these two racehorses." Well, that's cool, but I just have one thing to tell you. What? Both of those racehorses are geldings. You're gonna breed them together? Yeah. Keep on trying.
I'm trying not to face palm, because
that's Square Enix. They keep on trying to get a genre they've been losing money on, but they keep on trying to do. It's like, man, you know, if we release Tomb Raider, like, it's gonna sell 20-30 million. Tomb Raider's not that type of game. It wasn't that type of game back in the PS1 era.
Well, Lord is still an icon, even 20 decades later.
Yeah, but I mean, Q*bert's an icon. Have you seen Q*bert games selling 30 million lately? Or Pac-Man? No, what were you gonna say, Jewel?
I was gonna add one more to Square Enix's library there. Cut the beep out with the movies, please.
Yeah. I don't know why they keep on making Final Fantasy movies. Like, I'm fucking. And here's the thing: it seems like every damn Final Fantasy movie is based on Final Fantasy VII. I'm like, there's other cool stories in the Final Fantasy universe aside from Final
I
Fantasy
was gonna
VII.
say they tried to make a Final Fantasy movie with Final Fantasy 15.
Yeah, I heard that didn't do too well.
That was an understatement.
And they're also porting the Final Fantasy 15 Pocket Edition onto other platforms.
Yeah, which leads to my complaint. You know what, Square Enix? The fact that you think so little of gamers that instead of especially Nintendo gamers, you think so little of us that you won't even put a real Final Fantasy game on the system, but you'll put your shitty fucking mobile game ported over. I think on behalf of all of us old school Final Fantasy fans, old school Squaresoft
We got one
fans,
thing to say.
go fuck yourself.
And the worst part is this will mean that people will now think that Noctis now has a chance to appear in Super Smash Bros. Ultimate alongside
Go take. Here's what I want you guys to do. I want you to take all the computers that you use to program this game and shove them up your asses with no lube.
I would rather see them do a bonfire with them, because that's what they're doing with this idea of putting a janky handheld experience on the Switch.
Well, I mean, the thing that gets me is that they would rather, like, instead of, okay, look, listen, I understand they don't look they lost money on Final Fantasy 15 because it had been in development for like over 10 years. There are people, no, over 10 years, because basically, like, here's what people don't understand. Final Fantasy 15 was supposed to be Final Fantasy 12 Versus, if I remember correctly. Yeah, it was supposed to be Final
13. It was supposed to be versus 13.
Yeah, sorry, Versus 13. So basically, the game that would eventually become known. But here's the thing: it was supposed to be because it was supposed to come out for Final Fantasy Final Fantasy 15. The game, not that game, but the game that they later scrapped all the code for was originally supposed to be a PS2 game. Okay, so literally, this game skipped 2 generations. So let's say 16 years. Okay, there are people who aren't even born, who were never born, who this game is older than. You get what I'm saying? That it was supposed to come. So it's not my fault that you guys don't know how to fucking run your company and you let shit get over budget and you don't know how to get shit out the door. That's not my problem. Okay?
Over budget, over the time limit, and movies. What haven't they done?
And you kept on scrapping the thing. I mean, I think the same thing. Like Kingdom Hearts 3 was supposed to be a PS2 game. That should have came out in the PS2 era, because the other 2 games came out in the PS2 era. That was a 12-year. You're looking at a 12-year gap. All right.
And some of us would have understood if it came out on the PS3.
Early in the PS3, in the like, okay, if it wasn't a PS2 game, it should have been in the first 2 or 3 years of the PS3's life cycle. Like the fact that this game skipped an entire console generation from where it originally began, which was in the 6th gen, something wrong. Okay, there's something wrong with how Square does business. But anyway, fuck you, SquareSoft. Sorry, Square Enix. Because and don't think I'm not looking at you, Enix. Like, this is the same shit. Even your shitty mobile port. Oh well, we'll put the Switch version out later. Fuck you. You can't even get the shit out at the same time. A shitty mobile game, you can't even get that out at the same time. There's something going on. There's some deal they had with someone. That's the reason none of this shit can ever come out at the same time. You notice that?
Makes me wonder if they did a deal with EA. Well, that's kind of douchebaggery.
I think maybe it's part of their deal with Sony, which is the reason why you'll never see a Final Fantasy game, a mainline Final Fantasy game on a Nintendo system ever again. Even though we've seen with like games like Octopath Traveler and Bravely Default that if you put a core RPG on a Nintendo handheld or home console, it'll sell. Yeah. But they don't want that. They don't want to make. They want to keep on trying to replicate what they did with Final Fantasy VII, which is fucking stupid. But this is Square Enix. We never said they were smart.
Now we can. I think that's enough rambling towards Square. We can move on to the next.
Capcom.
Yep.
Or should we call them Crapcom?
Oh, Capcom. We got some issues here. I mean, let's start with what happened with I think a trio of games. I think which would be Marvel vs. Capcom Infinite, Street Fighter V, and which one else?
The Street Fighter Collection.
Oh yes.
Yeah. Basically, what I'm saying is this: they basically removed Yoshinori Ono from in charge of the Street Fighter, like from being the Street Fighter guy over at Capcom. Fair enough. He was kind of shitty at being the Street Fighter guy. I have no problem with that. But why are you making him the fall guy for business decisions that were made above him? Like, I don't think Ono was in charge of you guys getting in bed with Sony and saying, we're going to make Street Fighter V a Sony exclusive. Why the fuck would you? Like, Street Fighter is one of those franchises that does best when it's on everything.
And yet, you guys pulled off the stunt that has the Street Fighter V into PlayStation 4 and screwed the pooch over with how it released.
I mean, do you know how many units Street Fighter V has sold right now?
Well, speaking of Ono, there's news that Ono is no longer the head of Capcom's fighting game division.
Yeah, they took him. He's no longer the Street Fighter guy. Now it's to. I have an article.
I wouldn't be surprised if it's nearing the edge of Street Fighter 4.
No, okay. So here's what the article says. Okay, when it launched February 2016, it was supposed to sell 2 million in the first few months. In the first like 2 or 3 months, it sold 1.4 by the end of that. By October. So basically, it sold 2/3 of what they wanted to sell. Then the next year, it eventually broke 2 million. So you can argue that by now, and that was by the next year, like by December of the next year, it broke 2 million. That game is a flop because Street Fighter games don't sell that lowly. Street Fighter games normally sell like, I mean, typically a Street Fighter game should be breaking at least 10 million across all the platforms it's on. So like Street Fighter 2 was on the TurboGrafx 16, the PC, the Super Nintendo, and the Sega Genesis. And you also had the Game Boy port, but I'm not going to count that. So you had 4 platforms that was on, and combined it sold. Let me look up how many units Street Fighter 2 sold, because I don't want
to goof this one up.
Well, I mean that's like the most. I think that's the highest selling Street Fighter sales. Street Fighter. Okay, so Street Fighter 2. Street Fighter 2 in total across all the different platforms sold 20 million. Almost 21 million. 20,780,000. That is the highest selling Street Fighter game of all time. Street Fighter Alpha sold less than 500,000. Street Fighter Alpha 2, a little over 1 million. Street Fighter Alpha 3, 1.5. Street Fighter 4 sold 8 million. Street Fighter 5, it's almost at 3 million right now. That is some sad shit right there.
Ooh.
Okay, now think about this. Okay, it was only on one. It was on the most popular platform, which was the PS4.
Try to keep yourself from laughing hard about that one.
Well, I'm trying not to laugh at them because we all know that the reason Street Fighter has sold well in the past is because it was on, like, when Street Fighter is on multiple platforms, it sells well because everyone gets a chance to play it and people will pick it up because they want to play a 2D fighter. When you only have it on one platform, it bombs. Like every time they put a Street Fighter game on only one or two platforms, it doesn't do well. The reason Street Fighter 2 did well, and I'm looking at the list right now. Street Fighter 2 was on the arcades, so they're including those sales, okay? But those were like the smallest sales. It was on the SNES, which it's the highest selling version of that game is on the SNES, okay? Then you've got 2 Turbo. Like the two numbers combined are almost 10 million. Then you've got the one on the Sega Genesis, which is 1.5, a little bit over 1.5. Then you've got the basic Street Fighter 2, which is 2 million. I mean, you get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like Street Fighter 2, it's like that. Like, let me tell you how bad it is. Street Fighter 2 on the SNES collection, the Super Nintendo Classic Edition, has sold more than Street Fighter 5.
Ow.
Yeah. Capcom,
that was me face palming at what Capcom did.
Capcom literally went to Sony and Sony said, "I want you to eat my shit." They took a dump and Capcom stepped in that doo-doo and then picked up the shoe and licked it clean. And yes, I said doo-doo. They did that. And I mean, like, here's the thing. I don't think Ono had anything to do. I don't think he had anything to do with those special deals that they made with Sony. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So they're basically making him the fall guy for someone else's
BS.
Shit, basically, is what I'm saying. I'm gonna look up Marvel vs. Capcom Infinite sales. The Marvel vs. Capcom Infinite, because I need to know how much that shit. Marvel vs. Capcom Infinite. Marvel vs. Capcom Infinite. Come on.
And this is before we get into how it graphically killed itself.
Well, I mean, the game was just not gonna, like. Here's the problem. Marvel vs. Capcom Infinite. If they had done certain things, it probably would have sold better. But they messed up. So, I was about to say something really kind of naughty for whoever has the vibrating going on the background, but I won't. So basically, Marvel vs. Capcom, they wanted to sell 2 million. It only sold 1 million. In the first year, they wanted to sell 2 million. It only sold 1 million.
Ah.
Yeah. So yeah. Yep. Fucked up.
And one more thing, they should stop trying to release some of their ports on the Switch digital only rather than both digital and physical releases. So that way they don't screw their consumers who prefer physical copies.
Yeah, yeah. Actually, I mean, I'm not going to go that far because look, Capcom doesn't have a lot of money right now. Like they fucked up their revenue streams. I think what Capcom needs to do if they want to get their shit together, and this is their wake up call. If Capcom wants to get their shit together, here's what they need to do. All right.
Right.
Okay. Number one, they need to go back to their roots. Capcom has a bevy of old school games that they've done nothing with. They have a really fucking awesome Alien vs. Predator game that has never come to home consoles. Now's the time to go back and get that shit, pay whatever rights you have to pay, re-release that game digitally, because it doesn't make sense to have a physical, maybe like a special edition, like limited physical run, but I think most people just really want to play that game and they pay $10, $15 for it. Pay 10, 15, maybe even $20 for it with a few extra bennies and like digitally, and put that game out there. Do a Street Fighter, a Final Fight collection with all 3 games. You can add Streetwise as an unlockable, but I don't think anyone fucking wants that game. But you get what I'm saying? Like, you have this bevy of arcade games that have never really come to home consoles. Port that shit over, okay? They're cheap. A lot of the ports I think would be cheap because the hardware that you're dealing with in home consoles today is far more powerful than what you had back in the day. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
During the 16-bit generation. Get some Capcom collections going like you did back in the day. Capcom Classics, Volume 1, Volume 2, Volume 3, whatever. Put that shit out there. Put it out on everything. They're cheap. They're collections. Maybe make them no more than $20, okay, for each volume. Maybe have 3 volumes in a thing. So if people want to wait, they can get the master collection for like $60, and you get like everything plus a few extra bennies. I don't know. As far as Street Fighter goes, they made a good decision. They got the Monster Hunter guy, who I said they need to promote that guy because he's the only one doing his fucking job at Capcom by making games that people like and making money for the company. And like Monster Hunter, yeah, Monster Hunter is very formulaic and kind of samey, but
it works.
It works, yeah. Like the fans of Monster Hunter are like, yeah, I like this. And when it does make changes, they don't alienate the old people who don't necessarily feel too happy about those changes. So basically what I'm saying is that's a good thing. Now, if you can get they put that guy in charge of the Monster Hunter guy in charge of stuff. Here, let me
pull something up.
I'm looking who they got to replace Ono in terms of
The article's on Event Hubs.
yes, on Event Hubs. Oh no. The guy that they got to replace him is Ryuji Sugimoto, who's the son of Capcom's founder and chairman Kenzo Sugimoto.
Ooh, boy.
That can't be good.
Well, I mean, from what I see here, he's also the Monster Hunter guy, so
that's
okay.
That's a mixed bag. So if anything, I gotta wonder who's in charge of letting Sony get Monster Hunter exclusive for a while.
I mean, let me put it this way, okay? You might not like the Sugimoto guy, but whether you like, here's the thing: I'm not really wedded to Monster Hunter. Like, I don't really give a shit about the franchise. The dude basically did his job. Okay, he went in, he took a franchise that was kind of struggling, and he blew that shit the fuck up. Okay, he grew it and he grew it and he grew it. Like each iteration of the franchise, more or less, was bigger than the other, like in terms of sales and getting a bigger audience. Okay, so he did his job. Ono, on the other hand, like Street Fighter's been going down under his watch. Now, how much of that is his bad oversight or bad decisions foisted upon him from higher ups? We'll never know. We'll have to wait until we get more information, but maybe they can get their shit together.
Eventually.
Eventually, yeah. But yeah, the nail in the coffin for these people was for Ono was like those three games bombed in a 2-year span. That was the end of it. Like when you had Street Fighter V fail, which I mean, really, I don't think that was really his fault because, like I said, like Capcom, the higher ups in Capcom negotiated that shitty deal with Sony. Like no one looked at the data and said, "Oh, wait a second, when Street Fighter games are only on one platform, they bomb." Like no one said, "Oh yeah, we shouldn't do that deal. Like we'll take the hit and just like I knew something was wrong because Street Fighter, like they announced that game and then the next year they're like it's coming out and I'm like that seems kind of weird because normally Street Fighter games take like 5 to 6 years of development. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like they take years to come out. That was and so when the game came out, like people were like this game is buggy. I'm like it's not surprising because it was rushed. But and then the next game was Marvel vs. Capcom Infinite. That game came out, and I mean, once again, I don't think it was like okay, the kind of disappointing roster. Yeah, I think that wasn't really up to him because especially like most of the Marvel characters, the rights are all over the fucking place, so that's not really his fault. But the shitty art style, yeah, that's Ono. Because who told him to subcontract out that shit out to, whoever the hell they subcontracted that shit out to? I know they were trying to do it cheap, but I mean, why would like Marvel vs. Capcom's always had a certain level of production to it, so why would you go cheap with a next gen one?
Probably because of the possibilities of porting it onto mobile devices.
A fighting game?
Yep. I mean, they already ported Street Fighter 4 on mobile.
Yeah, but that's because they had the template of the 3DS version, where you basically had the special attacks mapped to like touch things, like panels on the lower screen, so people could spam special attacks over and over and over again. Because I have that version of the game and I've played online where people do that. They spam fucking Hadoukens and it's basically like you're playing the computer back in the day in Street Fighter 2. It's cheap. It's cheap as fuck. But you get what I'm saying. It's like they fucked up. Capcom. And then I mean finally, I mean the nail in the coffin was when they released the Street Fighter Anniversary Collection for PC, PS4, Xbox One, and Switch, and they had to basically like the game came out and people were pissed because it was a lazy ass port. It was cheap and badly done. So yeah, Ono's ass. I'm sorry. I mean, even though like I would say 50% of it isn't his fault.
There's something that he has done, and he screwed up badly.
Yeah, the shit that was on him, he fucked up. So he's gonna have to fall on that sword. He's gonna have to commit seppuku. Maybe they made him do the Shane bow. Also, I'm tired. Just this is a little aside. This is for the Capcom community and fighting game websites. Stop fucking pretending like Capcom adding characters to Street Fighter V fucking matters. It doesn't. No one gives a shit. Stop. No one cares. No one cares. It would be more exciting if Nintendo said we're adding new characters to Smash Brothers 4 than anything that Capcom could do with Street Fighter V. Just stop. Okay. I just want to get that off my chest.
And
Um,
I think we got a new company that could use a wake up call. SNK with because I've been hearing SNK Heroines isn't doing so well.
Oh, I saw
One
a
of our
video about how terrible it is.
well, I
One of my
mean,
favorite contributors.
it is supposed to be a very kind of
a very super casualized
They're
fight.
not-
yeah, it's a very super casualized kind of it's almost like a it's almost like a Smash Brothers fighting game. Like super casualized, anyone can get into it with tons and tons of fan service. Because they have an ultra stacked busty version of Terry Bogard, which is just a little disconcerting. But
and I'm not to mention make very confusing boners for male audiences since they know that Terry is a guy, but a Rule 63 version of him.
not really. It's just a female. I mean, it's not like Poison from
Final Fight.
Final Fight. That's a transsexual. It's literally a female version of Terry Bogard. So it's a chick. It's just a female version of Terry Bogard. It's not like there's nothing to be sexually confused about. It's a female version of a male character. It's like how sometimes they'll do. It's like how people before Linkle came out would do a female version of Link. It's a female version of the character. Whatever. That's not the problem. The problem that I've heard from the game is that it's not up to the standards of SNK. Because SNK, remember, in terms of fighting games, used to go toe to toe with Capcom. Like they were one of
Not to mention their boss battles are super hard.
You mean super cheap?
Yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense. I mean, I can understand why people are angry about it. But I mean, that's the price you pay for, I mean, like, here's the thing. People shouldn't have expected a really deep gaming experience. And they told you it's a super casual game for people who don't really play fighting games. It's basically almost the equivalent of one of those H games or back in the day on the PC Engine or the TurboGrafx 16 or, the MSX, something like that, where this is not designed to be like an ultra competitive deep gaming experience. It's literally just
just for pure mindless fun for
yeah people want to see hot girls beating each other. I guess I don't know. I mean that doesn't do anything for me, but I mean that's it, But I knew that game wasn't going to do that well. SNK should have released a Capcom versus SNK collection, like 3 of those games together, and that would have sold better than this shit. Like I don't know why they thought that SNK Heroines was gonna. SNK is weird like that though.
Huh.
They're kind of stupid. That's what I'm saying. They kind of make bad business decisions. There's another company needs a wake up call. Namco, Bamco, Namco Bandai Namco, whatever. So yeah, no one has anything to say to me saying Bandai Namco needs a wake up call.
let's see, I'm trying to remember.
They're kind of new.
Oh yeah, the whole Dark Souls thing.
Well, I was going to say the whole Soul Calibur thing, but they're both interconnected. Yeah. Namco Bandai, they're off the damn chain. They need to get slapped. They've been fucking up lately. and that bothers me because they could be better. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And we could also give Arc System a wake up call as well with the Blaze Blue, Guilty Gear, and Persona and Ruby crossover fighting game with all of the on this DLC.
Yeah. It's a problem. As a matter of fact, we could say the whole industry. I am tired of the industry. Look, listen. If you're selling a game for $60, okay, there is no reason for it to have DLC. Okay? Microtransactions or DLC. Now, if you want to do an expansion, like if you're like Nintendo or Sony and they're like, this game was $60 and we have an expansion where we're going to add another 30-40% of the size of the base game as an expansion, more shit to do for $20-30, fair enough. That's an expansion. But if you sell me a game for $60 and you have shit in the game where it's like for $1.99 this, $2.99 this, $3.99 this, $9.99 for this character, $8.99 for this, that's bullshit. There is no reason for this to be in a $60 game. None. Like zero.
What's with the static noises?
I have no idea. I said it sounds like someone's. Never mind. I'm not gonna say it on air. But anyway. So basically, that's all I'm saying. It just seems kind of. It seems kind of weird to me that people don't get that. You know what I mean? Like people just don't. Like, there's no reason for that. But Namco Bandai, I think there's one more on the list that needs a wake-up call. So anyone else on the list that needs a wake-up call? And I know people are like, what about EA and Activision? Look, they've been shit for years. I really don't want to keep on harping on people that we already know are full of shit. These are companies that could turn things around. But they just need a wake-up call. Before we move on to the next topic. Joel?
I'm trying to not facepalm here because seriously, you guys already hit the points on the topic. At least
okay then.
At least if we're gonna aim at EA, we'll be last.
Well, I mean, the thing is, the whole point of the wake-up call is this is to help turn them around. You can't really turn around EA. So, it's like saying I'm going to redeem the devil in hell. Like, you can't. You can't redeem the devil in hell because he's in hell. I mean, what are you going to do? You can be good again. No, it's too late for me. It's not like Darth Vader. who at the last minute.
What about Devilman?
Devilman?
Yeah.
Which version? The original? Because in the original he just dies. He's murdered by his best friend / arch enemy. So that's the one. That's the Devilman I know. I know they recently did a new one, but where they changed that ending. But that's the ending that I'm aware of, where he just dies. He doesn't make it. He doesn't win, folks. He loses. Although that fight was probably really badass, though. But you never get to see it. Well, here's something to uplift people, because, that was kind of a downer, just talking about how so many companies have been fucking up lately. So this is from Silicon Sarah. Octopath Traveler. And I will share this because it's worth watching. Screen share. Screen share. Screen share, god damn it! All right then. So this is from Silicon Sarah or Siliconera, whatever. Here are Octopath Traveler's Famitsu survey results. This is Famitsu magazine, which is like the big gaming magazine in Japan. Japan has a large population, so whatever. So the total number of participants plus the number of people who played the Bravely Default series. So here's their thing, and this is the survey that came from both the East and the West. All right. So a grand total of 3,584 people gave their answers, with 1,426 Japanese people answering and 2,158 overseas people answering. So out of the people, most players that played the game somewhere between 31 to 100 hours. So as for the people who played the team's previous games, the Bravely games, here's how it broke down. Okay, more people in Japan didn't play those games, while more people from overseas did play those games. So this game sold well in Japan, despite a lot of the people, according to the statistics, not playing Bravely Default. You have anything to say? You just got all quiet.
Because I'm busy reading.
Oh, okay. So the favorite, their favorite aspect of the game was for Japanese players, it was HD 2D pixel graphics. So I guess they're really nostalgic for that art style. Oh snap! And the overseas players voted for the break and command systems. In both regions, having 8 main characters to choose from was also a very popular feature. Now here's where it gets a little iffy. These are the people who like the main characters. Okay, so both regions had mostly the same taste when it came to choosing their first characters. Cyrus was first and Therian was second in terms of popularity. So the magic user and thief. Okay. Now, as terms of the least chosen main characters, it was Ulbrich and Alfin took the bottom places. And Tressa ranked decently high in both cases, while Hannett and Primrose varied greatly in rankings. So it was different depending on, East or West.
That surprises me because I thought Primrose would be higher up because of how popular she is in terms of fan art.
Well, that's because she's hot, but her story is really, really, really kind of dark. And when you're playing a game, you don't necessarily always want to go dark. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Now, people's favorite main character, ironically, number one character for both is Cyrus, the Scholar, Cyrus Albright, which is amazing. I like him as a character. I think he's pretty badass, but whatever. Followed by Tressa, Therian, and Primrose. So while not a lot of people chose Primrose as their first character, the people who chose her really like her. So, I mean, I guess that's kind of a thing. Despite me being the last place for first character chosen, Alfin made a comeback in the Japanese chart, so they really like that character because he has a very interesting story. And Hannett, despite being a high contender for being the main character in the West, ended up second place in second to last in terms of points allocated. So she's not like, she had a lot of points, but it wasn't enough. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Okay then. So the favorite main story character is he's number one in Japan, which is kind of weird. Although his main story is kind of fun. Now in the East, in the West, Primrose's story in Japan is number 2 after Ulbrich, but she's number 1 in the rest of the world. Like, people like her story the most.
Yeah, because of how dark it is.
Yes, it is. It is very dark. And then we have the favorite events and the most impressive boss fight. I won't go into those because those are spoilers, but basically it's a very good article. I will leave a link in the description field when I upload this. Damn it! I turned off the sharing. Yet it still kept sharing, bastards. But as you can see, it's a very Octopath Traveler is a very good game. It's an old school style traditional RPG, which Square Enix doesn't really make that much of anymore. But it sold gangbusters in Japan. Ran out. They were running like desperately to fill it up, not because they had a huge supply, but because they undersold the game because they were like, this game ain't gonna do shit. People, look, I know we built our name off of traditional JRPGs, but people don't want traditional JRPGs. They want Kingdom Hearts with a whole bunch of dudes who are kind of give off gay vibes. But
I think that that's only in the Japanese. The Western gamers prefer muscular men like the ones from Dragon Ball Z, Fist of the North Star, and JoJo.
Well, actually, I was referring to Final Fantasy 15, like a guy hanging out with a whole bunch of other dudes, and the main character's a pretty boy. He's just hanging out with a whole like his best friend. They're hanging out in the tent together. They're camping together. It's just 4 dudes by themselves in the woods. No women. One of them looks really, really pretty. Kind of gay. But anyway, yeah, I thought that would be kind of a nice little warm heart story for the podcast. So I guess we can get to news of the week.
And before we get to the other news, we get to talk about the obvious elephant in the room, which is this week's Nintendo Direct getting delayed.
Yeah, it didn't happen. Which, I mean, to be fair, it would be in poor taste if they did have a Direct. It wouldn't even be right if they had the Direct, if they just had like the Western/European Direct and didn't have one in Japan. It would still feel kind of tacky. So it makes sense that they wouldn't do it.
People are expecting it to be delayed to next week, and they fear that they had to do it right now because both the Famitsu magazine and Crow magazine may contain information from the Direct that they'll spoil before the Direct.
Yeah, but I mean, but here's the thing: no matter what information they drop, it's never going to be quite as in depth as what you get from the horse's mouth. So, I mean, I don't think even if they give you information, like it's not going to be as good. Like when they have actual gameplay demos of things being played and they go in depth about things, that's sometimes better than what you get in a magazine or whatever.
And I've seen common routes suggesting that it should air on Monday instead of Tuesday because of 9/11.
I mean, whatever.
Because if they try to live stream the Direct on a Tuesday because even though they delayed it because of a natural disaster, live streaming it on the day of a natural disaster would have been a bad PR move for Nintendo.
I mean, let me put it this way. I mean, my personal thing is that I'm not going to change my lifestyle because of disasters unless it's like something major, like, an ecological disaster or something like that. But like for terrorists and stuff like that, I'm fuck them. But look, listen, Nintendo's a company and they have an image to maintain. So whatever works for them,
Right. And with that said, we can move on to other video game news.
Yes.
Like Japanese gamers playing on their Nintendo Switches during power outages.
Yeah, that makes sense because it has that portable ability. I mean, I don't use mine portably, really. Like, I went to the movies this weekend, and I saw 2 movies, and I just pulled out my 3DS. But I mean, listen, that portability is a really good thing if you got to kill some time. Just saying.
Right.
So,
Oh, and then we can discuss about how Civilization 6 is coming to the Switch, which is one
yeah,
of
that's cool.
which is one of those games that which people were suspecting to be announced from the direct, like right after.
Yeah, but I mean, Civilization 6 is a strategy game, and like, I mean, this is one of the. This is like when I see a strategy game coming to the Switch, and I'm like, man, you motherfuckers could have put that game. You guys could have put Civilization 5 on the Wii U because it had the tablet. That's like perfect for a strategy game. But whatever, it's cool.
And and then there was the aforementioned Final Fantasy 15 Pocket Edition, which many people also suspect would have been announced from the direct, as well as the Mega Man 11 demo.
Yeah, the demo was cool. The Mega Man 11 demo was cool. I'm glad they did it.
As well as the official title for the new Yoshi Switch game called Yoshi's Crafted World.
Yeah, that's cool. Like, here's the thing. I can't really be that excited about it because I didn't see the direct. Like, this is information. It's like someone giving you the answers to a math problem, but you don't understand
how they got to the answer,
and you don't even know what the numbers are. It's like they said x plus j in parentheses plus j minus y with a c on the outside of the parentheses equals v. It's like and then you say, well, v equals this. It's like, well, I don't know what the like. I have no idea what else to get. Like, there's a lot of stuff I'm gonna have to do in order to figure this out. You know, you get what I'm saying? So it's like I can't really. It's really hard for me to get excited about news when I didn't see the direct, so I don't know what to correlate it with and the other stuff about it. So
oh yeah, and before the direct got delayed, the typhoon that came before the earthquake knocked down the N sign from Nintendo HQ.
So for a little while they were Nintendo instead of Nintendo.
Yeah, and I took it as a bad omen sign of what's to come, which was the direct delay and the earthquake.
Well, I think you're reaching a little bit on that one, unless you're waiting for
look, it's because I watched a lot of anime and manga that uses these type of signs as bad omens.
Yeah, but anime and manga are works of fiction.
Like if your glass breaks, that means something bad's gonna happen to someone you care about.
Or you're clumsy and the glass broke.
If leaves are falling off a tree, that indicates how much time someone has to live before he passes on.
That means a lot of people die in the fall. Joel, wake up!
Huh?
Yeah, you fell asleep on us, Joel.
This is called symbolism.
It was a little slow there, so sorry.
I think it's manufactured symbolism, but that's neither here nor there. Yeah, Nintendo. I mean, they'll get their shit together. Let's see. Any other topics anyone wants to bring up before we wrap things up? Or we get to we're in free topic now. Any free topics, Joel? You have anything you want to bring up?
Not that I know of on the spot. And I was actually listening so long that it sounded all the same, hearing all these complaints and all these problems.
Yeah, but we were talking about Nintendo and how the N fell off their sign, which Pinky thought was a bad sign. I was like, it's nature.
Yeah, I mean, if anything, nature is hard to control. And speaking of which, nature is already at my door, raining her rain her
Cats and dogs.
pushiness. Yeah.
Yeah, it's been raining all day. It rained all day yesterday and today here where I live on the East Coast.
Well, here in California, it's still a hot sunny day.
Of course, because you're on the other side of the country. Hurricane, whatever, is not barreling in your corridor. Yeah.
The only thing he has to worry about is fire.
But then again, you do have the fire, the earthquakes, the mudslides, the cougars. I don't mean the hot older ladies either, like actual legitimate cool cougars. So, you know, a little bit of rain, I can deal with that. It's like Japan. It's like, look, Japan is in an area that's not geothermically stable. They have earthquakes. It's also in the Pacific, so they have typhoons and hurricanes.
And fire.
Yeah, that's what I said, the geothermic, so they have the earthquakes. So, you know, look, listen, you know, I'm cool. It's like Japan would be a nice place to visit. I would not want to live there. But that's neither here nor there.
Well, I do have some other news.
Okay.
I have some other news before we wrap things up. Snake's voice actor, David Hayter, confirmed that he has not recorded any codecs for Super Smash Bros. Ultimate.
And you know why, right?
People took that as an indication that there will be no Snake codecs.
Considering how long it's been, I wouldn't be surprised if it took them longer to get that going.
Or maybe they're just going to use the ones from the Wii, from Brawl.
That can work, but there's new characters to work with.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, maybe they'll get like a voice actor who can do a remarkable imitation of David Hayter. Yeah. Because I don't think they're going to get Kiefer Sutherland.
It's been confirmed that David Hayter is reprising his role as Snake for Smash Bros. Ultimate.
Yeah, so what they'll probably do is they'll probably call him in one day, or he'll probably even better. He probably has a recording studio in his house. They'll ask him, could you record these lines and send them to us, and they'll put them in the game, and that'll be the end of it, which is a smart move because, you know, don't add extra work to yourself if you don't have to, because there's so much other shit in this game that's going to be in there. You know, Snake! Snake! Dun, 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 dun.
Snake, you can't do that. You'll change the future. You'll create a time paradox.
Snake! Fucking pervert. I'm gonna follow. I'm gonna follow Samus and hold her at gunpoint till she pees her pants. Go ahead and try.
Yeah,
take that gun and shove it up your ass. And believe me, if you know Samus Aran, she might just do it. But yeah, you can do that in Metal Gear Solid, the one on the PS2. Like really, when I play Metal Gear Solid, it just reminds me of just how much of a sick fucker Hideo Kojima is. But
yeah, and his game is going to have its own release of sorts coming up soon in the, I think, Tokyo Game Show or something like that.
Starring Norman Reedus and the Funky Fetus.
So it's like Norman Reedus and some other things. Just for fun, we're going to talk about Nintendo's highest selling games. Their highest selling system is the Wii, followed by the NES, or the NESU as they call it, but fuck that. I live in America and we pronounce things by their
full name,
by their initials. So it's the NES, god damn it. And the second highest is the Super Nintendo Entertainment System, or the SNES, followed by the N64, the GameCube, and the Switch. Which the Switch is probably going to be, I think it'll probably at the most, it'll probably reach, if it gets past the 64, it'll probably go past the SNES. And it might reach close to the NES. I don't think it's going to reach Wii sale numbers though. Followed by the Wii U, which is at 13.56 million. So it's not the worst selling system they've ever made, unlike what many people would have you believe.
And
as they
an
like to
extra
say.
note, that's how it belongs to the Virtual Boy.
That is correct. The Virtual Boy. Would anyone like to guess how much this juggernaut sold?
Under 200.
Only 1 million.
Less. 0.77 million. So literally like almost 3/4 of a million. So that's everywhere. That's the whole world. That's everywhere. It's really bad. Their highest selling handheld is the Nintendo DS, followed by the Game Boy and the Game Boy Color, which is followed by the Game Boy Advance, which itself is followed by the Nintendo 3DS family, which is at 72.89 million. And all of that is followed by Game & Watch, which ironically is actually their first handheld, and its total sales is 43.4 million. But do you know who is the king of Nintendo's franchise sales?
Is it Pokemon?
No. Pokemon's getting its ass kicked by the king. I'll give you a hint. The king and his brother are holding down Pokemon, and he pulls out a hammer and smashes the shit out of Pikachu's
Oh, you mean
head.
the Mario Brothers?
That is correct. Pokemon, according to this metric, is at 301.5 million pieces of software sold. It's number 2. Now, number 1 is Super Mario, but here's the number of Super Mario's software sold: 627.51 million. There you go, folks.
That's like a 300 million unit gap.
That's right. So what I'm saying is this, folks, okay? Like when you talk about your Sonys and your Microsofts and your Activisions and your fucking EAs and all that shit, the company that has the biggest balls in the industry is the little Japanese company that had the end blow off the top of their building. There you go. Okay. Like you're like, man, Sony's awesome. Yeah, but have they sold 627 million 0.51? Do they have the highest selling game franchise in the industry?
Mixed.
Do they? No? Then tell you what you need to do, buddy. You need to shut the fuck up. But that's just that was just a little fun little thing. Yeah, and this is everything. This is all the Mario games, including the re-releases of the title. So that's where you get the higher numbers. But still, they've re-released a lot of Mario games. So, you know.
And of course, Nintendo's top 5 best-selling franchises are Mario, Pokemon, the Wii series, Legend of Zelda, and Donkey Kong.
That is correct. Their highest selling series. But the jump, like here's how big the jump is, though. Okay, Mario is, like I said, 627.51 million. Pokemon is 301.5 million. The Wii series is 203.15 million. The Legend of Zelda is 105.62 million. Donkey Kong is 56.1 million. Like those are the top 5 franchises that Nintendo basically of Nintendo. Okay, you know where Metroid comes in? Metroid is number 14, folks. You know how much Metroid has sold? Like all the games, 17.44 million. It is not a system seller. No one's going out of their way to buy a Nintendo system for fucking Metroid. Okay?
And what were 6 through 10?
Game & Watch, but Game & Watch was huge in the 80s. like when it came out. So I can see why it's 43.4 million. Super Smash Brothers at 40 million because people went out of people will buy a system for Smash Brothers. Kirby at 36.5 million. Brain Age at 34 million. Animal Crossing at 32.4 million. And it just goes down from there. Let's keep on going. Yoshi, 29.17 million. Nintendogs, 28.25 million. Wario, 22 million. I already said Metroid. Star Fox, 12 million. Splatoon, 10.95 million.
Splatoon is getting there. It just needs a few more titles. Close to the top 10.
I mean, I like Splatoon, but I mean, I don't think it's ever going to be in the top 10. It won't. Because it's going to have to sell like hundreds of millions. And I don't, that's maybe when I'm 60. Big Brain Academy, Fire Emblem is at 10 million. The Luigi branded games, Tomodachi. Really, I didn't know Nintendo did the Tomodachi. I thought that was someone else.
Nope, Tomodachi is a Nintendo IP.
Oh well. Oh, sorry. I'm sorry. I confused that with Tamagotchi. Sorry. F-Zero at 5 million. Pikmin at 5 million. Excite whatever. So that's like Excite Bike, Excite Rally, Excite Bugs, and Nintendo Land, which is at 5 million. But the ones in red are from VG charts, so those numbers are probably bullshit. The other numbers are in blue, and those are from Nintendo's official number tracking. So VG charts is bullshit. But let's look at the best-selling games. The best-selling game is Wii Sports, 82.85 million, followed by Super Mario Brothers, the original for the NES, Game Boy Advance, all types of shit. Followed by Pokemon, red, green, blue, and yellow for the Game Boy. That is the highest-selling Pokemon of all time.
And Tetris is below it?
No. Under that is Wii Fit. And under that is Tetris for the Game Boy and the NES. Followed by Pokemon Gold, Silver, and Crystal for the Game Boy Color. So, I mean, Pokemon's on here. It's just not, number one. Followed by Super Mario Brothers 3, 2, Mario Kart Wii, Pokemon Ruby, Sapphire, and Emerald. So for those of you who like that generation, I didn't like the starters of that generation, but I did like the other Pokemon they added. Super Mario World, 34, Wii Sports Resort, 33. I mean, this is some really cool shit in here. But yeah, folks, it's a pretty good list. So let's wrap this up, folks. I think we've gone on far enough. Actually, no, I have one thing I have to say. Let me see what's Sony's highest selling game of all time, because I have to know.
Microsoft is only going to make this video longer.
Well, no, because I'm only looking at number one. Okay, their highest selling game is The Last of Us, and The Last of Us Remastered at 17 million. Their biggest franchise is Gran Turismo at 76 million. Microsoft, do you know what their highest selling game is?
Is it Halo?
It is Halo. Do you know what their numbers are for Halo?
10 million?
60. But that's across all iterations of Halo. That's like Halo, the strategy games, Halo, the re-releases, all that stuff. That's respectable. Hey, it's more than Sony's highest selling game. And just for fun, do you know who is Sega's number one franchise?
Is Sonic?
Yes, it is, at 360 million. Do you know what their highest selling game is?
Sonic 2?
No, it's the original, Sonic the Hedgehog.
Oh.
Yeah, Sonic 2 actually has a lower sale point. It's only at 13.8893 million. it's a better game, but it's like the Sonic sales have been going down actually with each iteration. The first game sold almost 45 million. The second game sold literally less than half of that, like almost a third of that. And then Sonic 3 at 8.0925 million. So Sonic, I've been doing too well. But there you go, folks. There's a little bit. I'm going to save this website because it's really good for numbers. So let's pimp out what you guys want to pimp out, and then we'll wrap things up. Okay.
Okay.
Jewel, anything you want to pimp out?
Jewel.
Okay. Pinky, anything you want to pimp out?
Oh yes, I just posted 2 articles. One for each Discus group. One is my usual Smash Sunday post article where I critique someone's top 5 and 10 list of characters they want for Smash Ultimate, and another is on the ethics Discus group where I talk about animal stereotypes and how it could, whether or not it's ethical to remove any negative stereotype portrayals of those animals in fictional media, like sharks and wolves being portrayed as man-eaters or killer or evil beings.
One is iffy with me because, well, trying to figure out how to work with animals is a tricky thing, especially if they're real. This is a way from being sentient in a sense that you can work with them.
Well, they're called Africanized killer bees because they were originally from Africa, because the bees from Africa are more aggressive because they have predators that are more aggressive. So, and they're called killer bees because unlike normal bees that will chase you for like 500, 600 feet, these things will chase you for like 2-3 miles trying to sting you to death. So they're more dangerous and they can kill you. So it's really, the name tells you everything you need to know about them. But I get what you're saying.
Right. And that's pretty much it for my content. So for today, at least.
Same.
Okay, then. So, yeah, this is me, Mr. Red Fox here. Just giving you my general information. I had a video that came up today. I'll have some more videos coming out this week. I have a 2-parter coming out early this week where I'm going to be discussing or describing my idea to bring back the Double Dragon franchise into a 3D environment. So kind of like a action adventure beat 'em up game. So look forward to that. It's going to be a 2-parter. And it's going to be kind of in depth, so look forward to that. And of course, when Nintendo does releases their new Direct, I'll talk about that, and I'll go further in depth in how I feel about other things that have gone on in the week. Oh yes, two people. Well, we talked about Aretha Franklin passing 2 weeks ago. Burt Reynolds. One of the cool ones left us. Sad. But in honor of Burt Reynolds, well, no one can go and get a Camaro, but go and watch one of his good movies like Smokey and the Bandit, Hooper, Cherokee Kid. Well, he's not the main character in Cherokee Kid, but it's a pretty good film. Malone. Don't watch Boogie Nights because his character in that is off the chain. So, but if you want to, go ahead. But yeah, enjoy. We had fun, and peace.